All right. Thank you all so much for joining us today for Texas State's Women Entrepreneurship Weekly Founder Series. We're amazing woman that we have with us today, Tarica Navarro from Kin Home. And thank you so much, Tarica, for being here. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Of course. So tell us a little bit about your background and your journey to start your company, Kin Home.
Yeah, so my background actually came from the professional side of things. So I was doing interior design for over 15 years, both residential and commercial interior design. But I also have a very, very deep love for cooking. And so I kind of just put two things together. And when I came out of early motherhood, I decided to open a brick and mortar shop. And I ran that brick and mortar shop for a couple years before I realized I really wanted to do this and to do it in a scalable manner. So initially it was just sort of, I wanted a sweet little shop. I wanted to kind of fill my time with doing something. And then I was like, you know what? A boutique actually takes as much of my time as anything else that is scalable that I can leverage all of my resources. So I closed down the brick and mortar shop and decided to better utilize my design skills and funnel that into a collection of our own. So now we're Kin Home. We used to be Kettle and Brine. Now we're Kin Home, and it's a tableware and eventually all home essentials collection.
That's fantastic. I was looking at it today, and it's beautiful. You mentioned your passion for design and cooking. Can you talk about the merger between those two and the inspirations that you have, and where you draw that inspiration from?
Yeah. So I feel that design is something that has always been innate in me. I was always the creative kid growing up. And my mom used to always say, I told you you should have studied business, because now I'm in business. But it was one of those circuitous kind of paths that I had to take growing up and really pursuing the creative side of things. And as far as the food thing, I am a Thai native. I'm an immigrant. I moved here when I was 18 to go to college in California. So I always joke that Thai people we're all foodies. We're all food snobs, whether it's eating on the side street food stall or whatnot. But every Thai kid is taught to season our own food from when we're tiny. So it was kind of just the merging of both of those things and the intersection of food and design. And I recognized that what I had to offer to the food world was not necessarily becoming a chef. I love to cook for friends and myself. I would cave under that pressure of professional cooking. I thought, what can I do to honor food and to honor our experiences at home? And design is my background. So that became that.
That's great. I love that sometimes we should have listened to our mothers a little bit more.
Absolutely. I'm like, if I had studied concurrently design and business, it would have happened a lot sooner, but here we are.
and in a great place. At what moment did you really kind of think of yourself and see yourself as an entrepreneur rather than, potentially a businesswoman or know that you wanted to have your own company and drive to something beyond what that professional world could and a professional job could really kind of offer you?
That was also something that was infused from childhood for me. So both of my parents are entrepreneurs. We have a long family history of entrepreneurship in small business. So they're not running big corporate companies. My dad ran his own real estate firm. My mom was an attorney and she had her own practice. And so from day one, the conversations growing up was always, what sorts of experiences do you need to have in order to run your own successful business? And that was just sort of the conversation growing up. So even as I progressed, it was like I was going to own a creative business. I worked for small, architecture firms and always saw things from the perspective of not just bottom up, but top down. So what does the business owner see? How can I participate as an employee to contribute to the growth of this business. So it was kind of always there. I think I experimented with going the corporate route when I worked at an international design firm, and I decided that wasn't my calling. And I'm a little bit of a control freak in a sense that I just want to have a say in the eventual how this unfolds, I guess, you know?
I completely understand and can identify a bit with that. I also love that you mentioned this kind of top down and bottom up approach, because at Texas State, we often talk about an entrepreneurial mindset. And the idea that if you're thinking like an entrepreneur, no matter what kind of a business setting, if it's a corporate business setting, if it's inside of a larger company, you genuinely bring a unique perspective and value inside of that company, as opposed to having to necessarily start your own. Can you talk a little bit about that in terms of what that mindset is for you?
Yeah. And it's interesting because I work with a variety of team members as well. And I always encourage our team members to have that entrepreneurial mindset. So it doesn't necessarily mean, you're right, that you have to be running your own business, but you can be a freelancer, you can be an employee, you could be a team member, but have the ability to see how both your particular role fits into the company, but also be able to see the company goals at large and how it plans on creating an impact in the community, in the business setting, and your part in that, right? The difference really is sort of having the ability to see, okay, my task list today is A, B, C, D, right? Why am I doing A, B, C, D? Is there a better way to approach A, B, C, D? And am I doing this task for the sake of completing this task, or am I doing it because it's serving a larger purpose, solving another problem that then solves another problem that governs this whole, there's a reason why, I think that mindset is always asking, why am I doing this? And how am I doing this in a way that benefits my team members and the company at large and the community that we serve?
That's a great perspective on that. I know you also, with your company, have a social impact and feeding the world and helping to support outside communities. Tell us a little bit more about that.
So one of the things that always kind of bothered me as an interior designer prior to pivoting to this role was always serving too small of a niche community, meaning I was looking at myself and I was looking at the clients that I was serving, whether it was, high-end residential homes or high-end hotels and restaurants. And although I was fulfilled from the creative standpoint, there's sort of a longing to create more of an impact. Like, okay, I'm creating beautiful spaces, but how does this serve the community at large? And I knew that if I created something on my own, I would want that to be a component of it. So while our pieces still kind of fall into this premium category, we've kind of created it into different buckets, right? So the people who can and desire to pay the premium prices so that we can then pay fair wages to our factory partners and our makers. So it trickles down in that way. We also do a once a year, we just wrapped this up a couple of weeks ago, our seconds and samples sale. So any pieces that come back or any pieces that don't meet our standards as far as the tolerance and glaze potentially get sold at a discount for people who want to participate and enjoy these pieces. And then a percentage of those sales then go towards our charity partner, UN World Food Program. So it's sort of my effort to be able to tackle this from different angles and feel that we are doing whatever we can to give back to the community. So, doing well and doing good simultaneously.